Friends, welcome to my workplace at Ranaghat, West Bengal, India. This is a totally unedited as well as slow motion video. This is 70% of normal speed so that I can narrate this surgery comfortably and you can follow this surgery very nicely. By this time the main incision has been made. Now 2% hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose is injected into the anterior chamber. And now two side ports are made. This is a side port on the right side of the main incision, and this is another side port on the left side of the main incision. These side ports are about 2.5 to 3 clock hours away from the main incision. And now capsular axis is to be done. I use a 26 gauge pen needle and raise a capsular flap like this. Now I use a ureter forceps. Hold this capsular flap, go anti-clockwise, remain at a certain distance away from the margin of the round dilated pupil, and thus I get a round rhexis in most of the cases. So capsular axis is completed, and now hydrodissection. BSS is taken in a 2 cc syringe and a 27 gauge cannula is used. The fluid goes to the opposite equator. The fluid is passed just under the anterior capsular rim. Hydrodelineation has been attempted and it has produced a beautiful golden ring in this case. Visco is again injected, and now the tip of the Phaco handpiece is introduced into the anterior chamber. The machine being used is Oatley Catarix 3. The tip goes into the eye with bevel down. Some superficial cortical lens matter is aspirated. It improves visibility and you can judge the depth of your Phaco tip very accurately if you remove this superficial cortical lens matter. Now bury the tip into the substance of the nucleus. Hold the nuclear mass very firmly and chop it. The chopper I am using has been designed by me. It is known as Mohanta's chopper. It is made by Josa Surgical as well as Plus Surgical. And now the free nuclear fragment is emulsified and removed. We can see this is not a hard cataract. Nuclear sclerosis in this case is about grade 3 or grade 2 plus. It is very easy to hold and chop this kind of nuclei. This is the other heminucleus. It is chopped and each nuclear fragment is emulsified and removed. This is the last fragment. It is removed. Now epinucleus. The epinucleus tumbles and comes to the tip. Phaco power used in this case is 60%. Flow rate is 40 ml per minute and vacuum is 400 millimeter of mercury. Now visco is again injected into the anterior chamber. In this case I am going to use bimanual irrigation aspiration for cortical cleanup. First I use the irrigating probe to hydrate the cortex all around. The reason is if we hydrate the cortex it becomes easy to clean these cortical fibers. One more reason is if we pull these cortical fibers, stress on geniole is much less. Few days back I watched a video by Dr. Kamal Kapoor where just by pulling the cortex caused about 100 degree of genular dialysis. So we have to be very careful. Initial hydration of the cortex by the irrigating probe may reduce the incidence of genular dialysis. In this case, I have been able to remove the cortex without changing hands. See, yes. So the cortex, all the cortex has been removed without changing hands. Now I go to IA2. This is hydro polish. By this time my assistant is changing to IA2 where the vacuum is very less. I use 30 millimeter of mercury vacuum and 20 flow rate for this IA2, and whatever tags that didn't get dislodged by hydro polish is removed by IA2. That is irrigation and aspiration 2 mode, second mode. And now a hydrophobic acrylic single piece monofocal intraocular lens is implanted, and in this case I am going to implant a Hoya clear intraocular lens. The cartridge goes into the anterior chamber through the 2.8 mm wound very easily, and you just have to deliver the lens into the capsular bag. Here I am checking if it is in the capsular bag or not. Yes. If you can hook the capsular margin with a blunt chopper or Sensky hook, the lens is in the capsular bag. And now I use both Simcoe and IA probes for removal of cortex. You may use only IA probes, but utilize or give adequate time for removing the cortex. So by Simcoe, about 50% cleaning has occurred, and you can see the visco is still there. So now I am using only the irrigating probe. This is high flow, and by irrigation most of the visco is coming out. Now I go behind the IOL, irrigate the capsular bag. Whatever visco is there in the capsular bag is nicely removed. Please be very meticulous in removing the visco to avoid post-op rise of intraocular pressure. This is a totally unedited surgery and in slow motion, 70% of normal speed, 70% of real speed. Now this is a bit of moxifloxacin. I inject moxifloxacin at this stage, and now this is BSS to hydrate corneal stroma on either side of the stab wounds so that the stroma becomes thick and closes the stab wounds. And now this is the final lavage of the anterior chamber. Friends, the aim of this video is, if you watch this, you should be able to follow each and every step very comfortably, very nicely, and you can implement these steps. You can modify these steps and you can do as your own, but this can be a guide to do safe and good surgery. This is how I form the anterior chamber, and as the chamber becomes deep, I remove the Simcoe. And now before concluding the case, I always check the wounds. There should not be any leakage from any side. Thank you very much for your attention. Hope this video will help you in developing your surgical skills. Be a great surgeon and serve your patients with love, respect, empathy, and great surgical competence.